All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hearing Club. My name's Brian, and I'm a licensed hearing aid practitioner in the great state of Pennsylvania. And one thing I keep forgetting to tell everybody is I actually have a mild high frequency loss and I wear hearing aids myself. So I think I could kind of offer a little bit more perspective than folks that don't wear hearing aids and folks that don't program and fit hearing aids like myself. And on that note, today we're going to be checking out something really interesting, a over-the-counter bone conduction hearing aid by Mearsun, a Chinese company that's based in Shanghai. Now, this might be one of the first true over-the-counter bone conduction hearing aids available on the market today. So you're probably wondering, well, what exactly is bone conduction? I'm glad you asked, and it's a great question. So bone conduction is a method of delivering sound by bypassing the ear canal completely. Now, if you've ever had a hearing test, and I'm sure most of you guys have, you've probably already experienced bone conduction. So during a full hearing evaluation, both air conduction and bone conduction tests are performed. So with air conduction, headphones or inserts are used to send sound waves through your ear canal to the eardrum. And those vibrations move through the tiny bones in your middle ear called the ossicles, then to your cochlea, which converts them into electrical signals that your brain processes as sound. But bone conduction, on the other hand, skips the ear canal and your middle ear. A bone oscillator, instead of a speaker, is placed behind your ear on the mastoid bone, which is right here, kind of at the base of your skull, right behind your ear. And those vibrations are sent directly through your skull to the cochlea, your inner ear. This is super helpful if you have a conductive hearing loss, like wax buildup in your ear, middle ear fluid, or ear canal issues. Since bone conduction bypasses all of that, it can give you clearer sound if your cochlea is still functioning properly. And that's where this device comes in. Say hello to the Mearsun MES-E100 over-the-counter bone conduction hearing aid. Now, it looks like a pair of headphones, similar to the really popular Shokz headphones you might have seen or tried before. But while Shokz are just headphones with no amplification, the MES-E100 actually amplifies sound for those with hearing loss. Now, these are designed for people who either A, have a conductive hearing loss, B, suffer from outer ear deformities, chronic ear infections, or otitis media or ear infections, or C, for those who want a hearing aid that doesn't go in the ear canal at all. Instead of domes or earbuds, you wear the MES-E100 like a semi-rigid headband, like this. And these bone oscillators, not speakers, rest on your cheekbones. And they send vibrations directly through the bone right into your cochlea or your inner ear. And I actually saw a video, I watched a review of these, and this guy was wearing the bone oscillators kind of on top of his ear and in the ear canal, like a normal pair of headphones. That is not how you're supposed to wear these, and that is not going to give you the proper sound. These oscillators need to be resting flat on your bone, not in your ear canal. Now, because these don't block your ear canal, you avoid problems like the occlusion effect, when your own voice sounds really boomy and unnatural. You can avoid problems like ear canal irritation or itchiness. A lot of over-the-counter hearing aids or any prescription hearing aids will just drive you crazy with itchiness inside your canal. And you can avoid problems like feedback, which happens often with in-ear hearing aids, RIC hearing aids, mostly over-the-counter. Now, as far as my experience, I just want to give a full disclosure. I don't have a conductive hearing loss at all. I have sensory neural hearing loss, which is your pretty typical hearing loss from nerve damage inside the cochlea. That means my bone and air conduction hearing are roughly the same. I have a mild high frequency sensory neural hearing loss. So I didn't really get much benefit from wearing these myself, but I could still hear the output clearly, and I'll walk you guys through the features and how they work. And just a note, if you've had a hearing test but forgot what kind of hearing loss you have, I'll show you guys a quick example of an audiogram with conductive hearing loss versus sensory neural hearing loss, so you can understand where this might fit into your needs. So this is an audiogram. It's a blank audiogram. And what we're trying to figure out is the lowest volume you can hear these different pure tones or these different frequencies. We test your hearing of 250 hertz all the way to 8,000 hertz. The left side of the axis, the vertical axis, is your volume measured in decibels, and the horizontal axis is the frequencies. Okay, so again, we measure the volume by the decibel level. As we go down, the volume is getting louder. And just like we measure the volume by the decibel, we measure the pitch of the sound by the frequency. Low pitch is low frequency, high pitch is high frequency. Okay, so it might sound like this. Okay, and again, as we go down, the beep gets louder. And these are called pure tones. And the reason we test 250 to 8,000 is because those are all the frequencies in speech. Okay, and what we do is we start at 1,000 hertz, the tone that's right in the middle. And again, as we go from the left to the right, the tone gets higher pitch and higher pitch. And we're trying to figure out the lowest volume that you can hear each one of these tones: 250 hertz, 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 6,000, and 8,000. And the idea is that if you can hear all these different tones at a really low volume, then you have good hearing. If we have to crank up the volume for you to hear these tones, you have bad hearing. And we need to figure out how well you can hear each one of these tones, because the hearing aids are going to increase the volume of the tones you're not hearing at a normal level. If all your thresholds are at 0, that means you have perfect hearing. If your thresholds are between 0 and 25, then you have normal hearing. And if you're outside of 25 decibels, lower than 25, then you've got some hearing loss, okay? And the lower you are in the graph, the more severe your hearing loss is. So we start with air conduction. Air conduction testing is done using headphones or ear inserts. And what's happening is the sound is traveling through your ear canal, vibrating the eardrum, and then sending it to your cochlea. And then when we test bone conduction, we use the bone oscillator, which is the same type of device found in these Mearsun bone conduction hearing aids. All right, so we start at 1,000 hertz right in the middle, and we'll present the tone. If you hear it, great. We turn it down to 30. And then we present the tone again. If you hear it again and press the button, we go down to 20. And we keep going down until you no longer respond. And then we go back and forth until we figure out exactly where the cutoff is or where your threshold is. Okay? So just as an example, I'm going to show you just one. We'll present the tone at 40 decibels. Beep, beep, beep. You heard it, so you press the button. We go down to 30. Beep, beep, beep. You heard it, you press the button. We go down to 20. Beep, beep, beep. And you didn't hear it. So we know the cutoff is between 30 and 20, and we need to figure out whether it's 30, 25, or 20. All right, so I'll go back up to 30 again. You press the button. I go down to 20. You don't press the button. So now I'm going to go to 25 and see if you can hear it at 25. And if you press the button there 3 times, then we mark that as your threshold. Oops, air conduction. Next, we'll go to 1,500. We have to play at 30 for you to hear it. But at 1,000, you can hear it a little bit softer, 25. So you can hear this tone better than you can hear this tone. This tone you can hear at 25, 1,500 hertz. We have to turn it up to 30 for you to hear it. And then we'll keep going down the line. And then we go all the way through the high frequencies. And then we will come back. We'll check 1,000 again just for accuracy. And then we'll do the low frequencies. And it might look something like this. So for this person, they can hear their low and mid tones pretty well. You know, they're within the 25 decibels. And then as we get into the higher frequencies, the higher pitch sounds, they start losing their hearing. So at 250 hertz, the really low tone, beep, 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 you can hear that at just 25 decibels, which is pretty good. But 8,000 hertz, the really high pitch tone, we have to turn it all the way up to 70 for you to hear it. Okay, now this is your air conduction. And then we're going to go back and we're going to do bone conduction, where we place the bone oscillator behind your ear, on your skull, on the mastoid bone. Now, I'm going to show you a conductive loss. A conductive loss means that your bone conduction scores are better than your air conduction scores. When we send the sound through your bone directly to your cochlea, you have much better hearing. Now, this person would have normal hearing. It's in the normal range. Okay, everything is 25 decibels or better. So when we send the sound through your bone, you have pretty good hearing. But when we go through your ear canal using air conduction, using the headphones, you have hearing loss. This is a conductive loss. Good bone scores, bad air conduction scores. And for it to be a conductive loss, you have to have at least a 15 decibel gap between your air and your bone scores. 5, 10, 15, 20. So this is a conductive loss. Now I'm going to show you a sensory neural hearing loss like mine. This would be considered a sensory neural hearing loss. My air conduction scores and bone conduction scores are very close, if not the same. Okay, so this is a sensory neural hearing loss. This is a conductive hearing loss. Big gaps. Your bone conduction is better than your air conduction. Now I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm going to show you a mixed loss. A mixed loss is when you have a combination of conductive and sensory neural. That is a mixed loss, and these might help if you have a mixed loss as well. Now, as far as the comfort and build goes, these are extremely comfortable. I was able to wear these all day, zero issues. These are actually way more comfortable than any of the hearing aids I've worn. There's no pressure in your ears, no domes getting stuck, and nothing to cause that itchy, plugged up feeling some users get from traditional hearing aids. The build feels really high quality, and it's got a magnetic charging cable, which is really easy to use. The battery life is rated at 14 hours per charge, and it takes about 2 hours to fully charge the hearing aids. This device is rated IPX5. Remember, X is just a placeholder for the dust and dirt resistance, and 5 is for the water resistance. So these are sweat resistant, not waterproof, so don't shower or swim with them, please. Now the MES E100 has dual mode switching, which means you have both hearing aid mode and Bluetooth mode. So hearing aid mode uses their ENR noise reduction tech to filter out environmental noise and enhance speech clarity. Now Bluetooth mode lets you stream music and take phone calls using Bluetooth 5.0. These don't have Auracast or the 5.3 LE audio. Now streaming quality is decent, but not as rich as something like the Shocks or other premium headphones, but good enough for podcast, YouTube, or basic phone use. There's only 3 buttons on these. You've got up and down on top of the band, and then you have a multi-function button where you can answer and hang up phone calls. Now these are actually programmable over-the-counter hearing aids with self-fitting, either through the smartphone app or the included handheld controller, which is really nice. So the app lets you adjust volume, left and right balance, and fine-tuning across 6 frequency bands, from 500 Hz all the way to 8,000 Hz. Now this handheld controller is awesome for users who don't like smartphones. It's already paired and ready to go. You just pop in 3 AAA batteries and you're good. And that's another nice thing about it. The simplicity makes the device a great fit for users who value ease of use over endless tech options. These offer up to 40 decibels of gain, which is actually more than most over-the-counter hearing aids in this price range. Most are around 30 to 35 decibels. That makes them a good option for folks with mild to moderate conductive hearing loss. And just like most other over-the-counter hearing aids, it comes with a 30-day trial period and a 1-year warranty. So if you're unsure whether or not bone conduction would work for you, you can give it a real-world try without committing. Now, my final thoughts, I can't personally evaluate the effectiveness of the hearing aid function because, again, I don't have the right type of hearing loss to benefit from it. But I can say this. 1, the build quality is excellent. It's super comfortable. There's absolutely no occlusion, no feedback, and no irritation. It's super easy to use, even for non-tech savvy users. And if you've got a conductive hearing loss, or you suspect you might, this could be a really interesting and super comfortable option to try. Now, I know you guys are used to my other videos where I tell you, the noise reduction worked great or it didn't really do much, and, the sound quality is pretty close to a prescription hearing aid, but I can't. This one is going to have to stay super objective. I just really didn't get much benefit from the hearing aids, and I couldn't really tell if the noise reduction was working or not because they just didn't do anything for me. And I'm pretty sure that's because I don't have a conductive loss. So I'm not going to tell you guys whether they're a good hearing aid or a bad hearing aid. These are just my observations and more of a how to use these and what can they do type of video. Sorry, guys. Now I'm going to show you guys again how to wear the device properly, and I'll walk you through the smartphone app and the handheld controller. All right, so first of all, to power on the device and put it in Bluetooth pairing mode, you just hold down the volume up button, which is the plus button. The minus button, of course, is volume down. And to power off the device, you hold the same button, the plus button, for about 3 or 4 seconds and it'll shut off and the light will turn red. Once you power the device on, the light will alternate between blue and red, meaning it's in pairing mode. Once in pairing mode, go ahead and open up your Bluetooth menu and you will see the Mearsun at the very bottom. Go ahead and select it, and that is all you have to do to connect the hearing aid to your phone. Once it's connected to your phone, go ahead and open up the app. Of course, you can download the app from the App Store on Apple or the Play Store on Android, and these are compatible with both. Once you open up the app, you're going to hit the button that says Select Device, and then you should see the Mearsun listed at the top, and you're going to hit the green button that says To Adapt, or basically means to program. This app is super basic and super easy to use. You're going to be presented with the main screen where you have your controls. You can turn the volume up and down, you can mute it, and you can change the balance from left to right. Meaning if you want most of the volume coming to the left side, you just move the slider over to the right so that you have more blue for the left. If you want to hear more of the volume to the right side, you're going to move the slider to the left. That shows more red. It's kind of different than what I'm used to, but it gets the job done. Now, when you're ready to actually program the hearing aids, you're going to hit the Enter Adaptation button, or Enter Programming. First, you're going to start with the left ear, and what you're going to want to do, this is kind of confusing, you need to adjust each frequency according to your hearing loss. You're going to start with 500 hertz, and then you're going to go all the way to 8,000 hertz. You're going to do one at a time. I started with 500 hertz. And as soon as you touch the little circle slider, it's going to start playing the sound. And the idea is you want to slowly raise the slider until you can just barely hear the sound. And that sound is going to be a continuous pure tone. So you're probably not going to hear it when it's all the way at the bottom. You just slowly turn it up until you can hear that tone playing. Once you're done with 500 hertz, you're going to move on to the next one and do the same thing. Just start raising it until you can just barely hear the tone. Once you get through all the different frequencies, you're going to hit save, and then it's going to switch to the right ear, and you repeat the process. It's really, really easy. Again, you're just going to move each slider one at a time. You're going to turn it up until you can just barely hear the tone. If you turn it up higher so that you can really hear the tone, then that frequency is going to be louder than it needs to be, but you can play with it if you want. And you really have full control over the programming of these hearing aids. For example, if you have a flat loss, then you could just crank these up all at the same level and it'll basically be programmed for a flat loss. If you have a high frequency loss, you can just turn up the low frequencies a little bit and then crank up the highs. But you should follow the instructions and just raise each one until you could just barely hear each tone. Once you're finished with both ears, hit save, and it's going to basically program the hearing aids. You can name it whatever you want, and then it will show you the output that the hearing aids are providing on a nice little graph. Now, if you don't have a smartphone, or you just don't like using a smartphone, or you don't carry your smartphone everywhere with you, you can use the included handheld device, which is pretty easy to use. And the nice thing about that device is it's already paired to the hearing aids. You don't have to do any kind of pairing process. You just turn it on once the hearing aid is on. It's going to say Bluetooth matching, and once that's done, it's connected and ready to use. The first display that you're going to see is modulation, and that is how you control the volume. And to enter the programming mode, you're going to hold down the middle button, the OK button, until the display changes. And it is exactly the same as the app. It's going to start with the left ear. You go ahead and you adjust each frequency until you can barely hear each one of the different tones. It's going to start with 500 hertz. You adjust the volume knob until you can just barely hear it, and then you're going to hit the R button to switch to the next frequency. And then once you're through all the frequencies and you're ready for the right ear, you're going to hold the right button until it switches to the right ear, and you do the exact same process. Once you're finished with the right ear, you hold the OK button and it will save the programming. And if you want to see what the graph shows, the resulting programming, you just hit the OK button and you'll get a graph that shows the output of the right and the left hearing aid. Then just go ahead and tap the OK button to get back to the main screen, which is your volume control. Now, when you're using the smartphone and you're using the app, as soon as you connect the Mearsun to your phone and it shows up as connected in the Bluetooth menu, you are ready for streaming and you don't have to do anything else. Any of the audio that's played from the phone will then be played through your Mearsun device. You can take phone calls, you can listen to podcasts, YouTube videos, and when you receive an incoming call, you just hit the multi-function button that is on the right bone oscillator. And that's it, folks. Super easy, super basic. Pretty nice for those of you that value simplicity. That's going to do it for the video, guys, but if you have any questions about bone conduction or hearing loss types, drop them in the comments. I'm always happy to help. And if you guys want to see probably my favorite over-the-counter hearing aid right now, make sure you guys watch this next video. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who might find it helpful. Now, if you guys are interested in trying this out, check out the link in the description. And I also have a 15% discount code you guys can use, again, in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.